everyone, welcome. I'm Robert, and today I want to discuss Dice Conquest. This is a cooperative game that was released not that long ago, and I've seen many people post their sessions, and it looked pretty interesting. So I went ahead and got it. It's one of those small box games, and it comes with a full set of RPG dice, and it's set around that. It is a very interesting little game. So here's what happens. You can play controlling for solo play. You can control from 1 to 4 characters. Okay, and you have to go through the entire deck defeating creatures until you reach the boss. Okay, and once you defeat the boss, you win. If one of your characters dies, you lose. All right, if you're in a party. All right, so you have to keep them all alive till the end. And what happens is, at the beginning of each round, you're gonna get a row of creatures to deal with, or of monsters, enemies to deal with. You'll roll the entire set of. You'll roll the entire set of the RPG dice. Okay, and you have to use them to assign them to creatures and give them apply damage to them, basically, so that value will be damage that you're applying to them. Each character will have a critical hit value that will give you special abilities. For example, let's see, we got a 2. So if I use these 2, when the thief's turn comes around, if you use this 2 value, you can execute the special, okay, the critical damage special ability. And each character also has another ability that isn't related to critical damage, all right, which help you manipulate dice and things like that. So first thing I want to mention is the artwork. I am a absolute sucker for just this D&D trope, classic D&D high fantasy artwork, and the art in this game is just spectacular. I just really like it. Art 10 out of 10 right there. Card design, just very well done. No issues, very easy to read, very well done. The dice. So it comes with this set of dice, and I think they're a bit low quality, to be honest with you. Wasn't a fan of the marbled the the marbled colors that they chose for it. Also, an interesting thing is that the percentile dice isn't really the percentile part of the dice isn't really used. So I bastardized this little dice and used a sharpie to cover the zeros because the percentile part is not used. One complaint that people bring up is that they should have just provided 2 of these. And I understand that for budget reasons that would make it complicated to manufacture the game, so I get it. But it is a bit annoying because the percentile part really isn't used. They could have just provided 2 of these, okay? This isn't really functionally different. Uh, and that's pointed out in the rulebook how you're supposed to interpret the numbers here. So a 0 is meant to be a 10 in this case, but speaking of the rulebook, the game is very simple. I appreciate a lot how simple the game is. Rules wise, there's a couple things that are not clear, all right? Because there can be a couple edge cases that are that can be brought up here. I did have to go on Board Game Geek and check a couple things, but you can also just kind of make make a judgment call on the spot, and which is what I did initially, and I was right for the couple edge cases that were brought up. But a decent rulebook. One thing I noticed though when looking at the rulebook, I don't see a playtester credit, which I was shocked. This is a WizKids title. I think they're an established publisher. They really must have a lot of trust in these 2 guys because a couple of weird rules interactions that I found could have been answered if they should have been found during playtesting. So I just found it strange that this doesn't have a playtester credit. But this, all right. So this also one thing is the setup time. It just takes like a minute to set up, lightning fast setup, and this will give you a nice 30 minute, in my opinion, at least 30 minute session. Like you, this is not a game that you're gonna play on a breeze. I mean, you can play it like quick and dirty, but I think you're gonna lose pretty fast if you don't really think about your moves. It is pretty luck dependent, of course, because of the dice, but there is plenty of dice manipulation. There are certain characters that are better than others, like very clearly better than others, in my opinion. I love that they include the classic D&D classes. Just love that. Again, I'm a sucker for just that classic D&D fare. Um, and this reminded me, it gave me some vibes of one deck dungeon, how you do the dice placement and you manipulate the dice and you get the best out of them. Except this uses a, a RPG dice set. I just love that. That's just an interesting detail that they created an entire game out of just using the RPG dice set and dice manipulation. Very interesting. One thing I'll mention though, this game is brutal. I played it 5 times, and I finally, I think I got a well-earned win on my last fifth play. I guess fifth time's the charm in that case. But I thought at the beginning that I was doing something wrong because I was playing on the normal setting, difficulty setting. I tried various player counts. I tried playing with one character. I think it's nearly impossible, to be honest with you. I do not recommend you do that. I tried at two, then three, and then honestly, I think four is the best, one of the better ones, and I'll tell you why. Because when you control four characters, it really doesn't add that much overhead, and you get more critical hit values that you can use and more dice manipulation abilities. The characters do get weaker though. So the more characters you control, the less health that they'll have. And again, if one of the characters die, you're toast, right? It's game over. But I got I think, a pretty well deserved win after a few games. Uh, it's not, I really don't think that this is a game that, I mean, you can play it on autopilot if you want, but you're gonna lose pretty quick. Like you really have to really think how you're gonna get the best out of the dice that you get, that you're provided when you roll. Other thing I wanted to mention is this thing. I wasn't a fan of this health tracker, especially if you're gonna control four characters. This is just extremely fiddly. If you play multiplayer and each person has this in front of them, that's all right, I guess. But I'm not a fan of that. I just have these tokens that are 1 and 3. These are from Warcry. Never got an use for them, but now there they are, and I'm using them for this. And it's perfect for this game, so that I don't have to do that. Found it a bit fiddly, but yeah, but great game, folks. And also, I didn't mention, it has a pretty low price, under $20 for my LGS. Um, Lovely game. I do recommend it 100%. Watch out for I think personally that the dice quality was a bit subpar, but it's not a deal breaker. I had to get rid of the insert. The insert this didn't fit sleeved cards back in there. I just covered this so that it's not naked, all right? Because the downside of getting rid of the insert is that this is just gonna be transparent and it might not look very pretty. But I just covered that with some um, carbon tape so that it's opaque. Wasn't a fan of these health trackers, but just lovely game. And I think I heard that the designers are working on an expansion. I'll be interested to see how they expand on this. I like this system. It flows very well, sets up lightning fast. It just leans on those D&D tropes heavily, and I just love that. Amazing artwork, good pretty quick to learn rules. Oh, I almost forgot to mention. There is, even if you're a masochist and you want to increase the difficulty, there's these trap cards that you can add, and the more you add, the more difficult you make the game. But God, I don't know why you would want to do that. Honestly, like the game as is, it God, it took so long to just get one victory. So that's there if you wanted. I don't know why you would, but but there's that. I'm glad that they at least offered that. But there you go, folks. That's Dice Conquest, and I do recommend it. Just look out for those couple caveats that I mentioned. But a great game, sets up quick, easy to learn, a nice dice manipulation puzzle. Leans heavily on the D&D stuff. Love it. So that's it. Dice Conquest. If you folks have any comments, any questions, any feedback, please put them in the comment section. And thank you so much for watching. Please like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.